Ian? Ian? What? What?
Son of a...
Dude, you fucking your window's open. Has he really just taken all that stuff? So
Is that the crime?
That's a Mac. That's a Mac. That's 2 iPads.
So he is Moriarty.
Mother. I do have a few set questions.
Okay.
But if anyone wants to riff first, because I'm no good at riffing.
I think riffing usually comes from we start something and then we wind up talking about anything other than the target question.
That is true. We'll end this call and I'll be like, I didn't ask any of the questions.
Oh no!
Damn it! This is going to sound like an interview. Have you been able to adapt any of the training into your daily life since the episode? And it doesn't have to necessarily be sort of like, every day you're going out and you're using this. Just have you been able to maybe not necessarily use it, but improve on it?
Yeah, because the episode it highlighted a lot of sort of pitfalls and things I needed to improve. So as I've watched it back, I noticed more and more, and some parts I'm almost cringing in that I'm like, why did I say that? So yeah, I used it as a bit of a measuring stick as to where I was at the time.
Oh, brilliant!
And I think I've improved a bit since I've worked on the bits that I wasn't happy with.
Yeah,
I'm training all the time. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I've got a busy home life, so if I can't train at home, I'm training at work.
Yeah,
under the guise of sort of working, if you like.
Does it change the way you approach problems in your life now? Like, not necessarily just every problem has to have this training, but is there any point where you're maybe talking to people or you're dealing with a work circumstance or something like that? Has it ever come in handy again?
Yeah, because we sort of get a lot of problems in our work. Not problems, but like I work in sort of construction, and the plans that you're given, it's not always cut and dry. We start uncovering things and problems start to mount up, and we've got like a given allotted sort of time to sort of sort these problems out. So you have to sort of like get to the root of the problem as quick as you can. As Ben sort of teach me, you have to strip the problem down to its bare parts, and you know, sometimes the solution's been staring in the face all the time, sort of thing. So yeah, it helps in all aspects, but obviously reading the people that I'm working with as well is quite fun.
Covering the trade secrets about.
yeah. I mean, you get quite a lot of characters in the building trade. You know, the people you come into contact with, the drivers, the people who deliver your skips, your work colleagues. It's quite an interesting bunch.
It'd be interesting when suddenly there's a web series by Ian Rennicks that pops up. It's just like,
yeah, that'll be a while away.
Yeah. Tuck it in.
Be like the Constructionist.
Let me write that down. I've got all the hobbies that I do, but they're more reasons to go out to practice. If you know, I mean, I've been playing snooker for about 25 years, but now suddenly go to read the people there, and rather than to play. If you know, 'cause I don't play anymore, but yeah, that's pretty much. It's bled into every part of my life, as Ben, as Ben said. It will do if you constantly work at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I don't think I'm the same person that I was years ago.
For better or for worse.
It depends.
I thought the same though, to be fair, like when Ben started telling me about that kind of world, and like I only know bits and bobs of it, but it was interesting the way he sort of like approached it. And like I remember you telling me, Ben, like at times like when I first met you and it was at work and it was sort of like talking about how to approach certain things, and it's not just like it's a separate hobby, it's a hobby on top of a hobby. You can sort of like it's a way of adapting that into every aspect of your life, which I really kind of liked about it. So it's, in a sense, it's like it was good with the final lesson to obviously show that with someone, because I thought like you did really well on the tests, and it was really good to see sort of what Ben had told me about the beginning of your journey there to where we were with the final lesson. I thought it was really good just to say like, oh, what you've learned in that space of time, and it, to me, that evidenced the impact of what this sort of stuff can do, which is what we're just kind of trying to get out there, really. We're just trying to show that this works, you should do this, this is going to benefit your life in many and various ways. I mean, and also really entertaining ways as well. It makes life so much funner. Especially for us. We want to film it.
The biggest lesson I learned from it was the bit I won't say looking forward to, but the bit I was interested more in doing was the people reading when we went to the supermarket on the day. And that was probably the bit I was more disappointed with. And it wasn't till after that I realised where I sort of went wrong. I didn't take the context. I was trying to read too much into stuff. I didn't take the context of it being a Sunday, the busiest time. That could have led me on a whole different avenue than what it did. So that I've took that and brought it forward, and now that is the main focus of what I do, the context, because it'll change. It can change a whole set of panels.
Context is absolutely everything. But what I was going to say that was particularly awesome about that, granted, we've done a fair bit of training up until that point, but there was things that we did over those 2 days that you'd never done, that I'd never told you about. That was like, Ian, we're going to do this. Let's see how we get on. And you smashed it. But and I totally know where you're coming from as well with the whole Tesco thing, because it's like when somebody says name anything, and you just go, nothing. All of a sudden, nothing exists. Like either everything's moving too far, too fast through your mind, or you start to become so emotional qualities being antagonistic to clear reasoning. And that's great that we can all learn from that moving forward, right? Regardless of, it really doesn't matter if you've been at it 2 days or 2 decades, right? We're human beings.
There's the added pressure of the cameras and doing it in front of you and Adam as well. And I think I said this in the live, was it one of the live reacts that we done? Yeah. Previous, I thought training the mindset had served me better than memorising lists of this means this, that would play a more part with the cameras, the pressure. I thought being able to cope with that had let me sort of feed it out more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a different ball game once you crank that pressure up a little bit, and then a little bit further, and then a little bit further, and then a little bit further. It makes that mundane task that you've done over and over again that much more challenging.
It's more than just
states around.
More than lists of traits. There's more. I don't think you realise that until you put in a position like that.
I'll use the same analogy till the day I die, because I don't think there's anything better. But it's a lot like trying to learn to swim from your bedroom. Do you know what I mean? You can learn the technique, you can lie on the floor and do all this nonsense, right? But if you don't get in the pool, how are you ever going to know?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I think it's interesting, like you say, about you can't just sort of like absorb this information as well like a robot. I think the best thing about it, and what we saw when we did the tests, was the human side of it. I think that's more important to see. It's the kind of like, it's the progress and the human nature of that progress as well. It's not necessarily like you learn this, now you've got it, then you learn that, then you've got it. There's still going to be, like you say, you can be anywhere in your life and you'll still get those moments where your head just goes completely blank. And I think it was really important just to capture that, because that's the reality of it. I think there's obviously there's a hyper sort of characteristic quality to other media items in regards to like Sherlock and the deduction techniques. Like, it's all shown in a very sort of like flashy, very sort of smooth flowing, sort of very cool to see kind of way. But really the reality of it is like, it all happens in here and it's all about seeing that, and the reaction and your approach to it is like, that's what we wanted to capture, really. That was really good about it.
There's I always laugh when I watch this bit back when we've done the memory bit, and I stand up and I suddenly realise that I can't remember a thing. And Ben's like, what? I mean, you could have asked me what my name was, and I remember you saying, what method did you use? And I managed to spit that out, the journey. Standing there, and I think you invite me over to the settee, then it all, once I calmed down a bit, it did all start to come back. I've trained harder during this lockdown. I mean, my daily routine when I'm at work, I get up at 5 o'clock to get to work for 7, and I only work 10 minutes away. So I get up and I'm sort of getting ready. I'm a bit of training, have a bit of breakfast, and back to train. So during the lockdown, I was still getting up at the same time, 5 o'clock, to still get this training in, because my days can just disappear at home very quickly. So I have to sort of make myself get up at that time. I mean, people think I'm mad. You know,
it's just good discipline, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I was determined not to let, get lazy or anything. So I was memorising. There's a couple of TV shows I watched where you can sort of get confirmation from it as well. I don't know if I should say the name of the program, but
just probably leave it out. It's fine.
Just for credibility for more than anything.
But no, that's good to hear, though, because I suppose during this time as well, this kind of training is fit for something like an isolation period where you're just inside and you've got nothing else to do. This is the perfect time to sort of adapt that. It can help, really, I would imagine, in times like this where your brain is going to be feeling like it's idle and it's bored, when really the whole point of this is, like you've told me in the past, Ben, like you can look at anything and you can sort of break something down, and really like the mind's only bored if you're choosing to be bored. Absolutely. Sort of the stuff everywhere, isn't there?
We'd be like playing in the garden, and I can hear sort of what's going on 2 or 3 doors down. Like these voices I've not heard before. It's like they got people around they shouldn't be sort of having around. You can, all these, So it's a skill that sort of.
Absolutely. I suppose people have been doing it sort of subliminally as well, like people who have like not necessarily got an interest in this, but they've actually unawares been doing it, because everybody has that kind of like, oh, what's that neighbour been doing today? Oh, I've seen him go out so many times. You're deducing then, aren't you? You're looking at someone like you. Technically, you're sort of applying this without actually meaning to. So it's sort of it shows that it's kind of it's human nature, isn't it, to do this? So we might as well.
I mean, the mate I used to work with, we were knocking at this customer's door, and it took him ages to come down. And he came down, and then I spoke to him, and then he went away. Then he turned to me and he said, he's been painting upstairs. And I looked at him, I'm thinking, how have I missed this? And he got like paint on the bottom of his trousers. And I'm thinking in my head, because I'm not talking about it, so I'm supposed to be the one who does this, not you. And I was annoyed because I've missed the paint on his trousers. But yeah, he's one that doesn't realise he does it, but doesn't realise sort of doing it.
Like the one thing I was going to say to sum it up, not just for Ian's episode, but the whole thing is, I always joke, like at the start, before, you know, we'll try this, and if it doesn't work, then nobody will see the video, right? I just think that's a joke, but everything we've put in, and I'm sure Ian will tell you because he was there, right? Everything we put in, we filmed, right?
Yeah.
Like we were either really fortunate enough that everything worked, or the training paid off to such a degree that worked for us, that we only had to go, like, Ian, we're going to blindfold you and drive you around a place you've never been before.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can get on with memorizing parts of a city.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that actually works. Right? You know, it's just that's one of the things that I take away from it more than anything. Not that you know, perfectionism or perfectionist or whatever the word is I'm looking for. Not that that isn't something we strive for, but the fact that when it comes to putting it down for an episode, we get to go, there's one take. We've trained enough to be able to go, we nailed it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. I think that's an accurate representation of what it is that we do. So when it comes down to the really cerebral stuff, like with the memorizing and the reading of people, like we'll put it in warts and all, because like we spoke about earlier, we are humans. We will miss things. We're not a work of fiction, but it's what we do with that and the information we can then get as a result. Absolutely. You know, that's all I was going to say.
I was looking at the screens for I was looking for something that was never going to happen. Maybe the crime wasn't on the screen. I thought the crime was happening right under my nose, and the screens were a distraction.
But we did tell him that the crime was going to be happening in this room. I did say on the video, we're about to commit the crime. Picked up his coat and walked out.
That's one of the lessons we've been doing from day one. Don't focus on one thing, be consciously aware. So I think, okay, I'm going to say it, I think the crime, if you can call it a crime, is the removal of my coat from the room whilst I was looking for something that I was never going to find.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. So, yeah, thank you for buying my breakfast from Tesco. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
That was a crime.
Yeah.
That was genuinely like, you sprung that on me on the day, which probably worked in my favour. If you'd have probably told me we was going to do that, I'd have probably thought about it and worried about it too much. But because it's right, here we go, we're in the car, put this on your head. Yeah. It probably worked in my favour that way. I don't know what took over, but it was
the training.
It took over without me sort of knowing it in a way.
Yeah, and that's the ideal situation, because if like a lot of this is explained in the private sessions that I do, but if you look at the mismanagement of brainwave states between your emotional output and the situation, if everything's not coalesced, you miss things, and your inner workings, your cognition, whatever you want to call it, whatever posh word you want to wrap around it, snapped into it, and just you know, it's that Bruce Lee thing of, and I'll quote him again, because his philosophy on combat is a similar thing that we do here. That whole when an exponent expand, I contract, and when he contract, I expand, and when the time is right, I do not hit. It hits all by itself, and brilliant, yeah.